The week starts, and the Marlins want to erase the memory of a tough weekend. But Atlanta arrives, the wild card leader. So the Fish and the Braves get ready for Game 1 of a 3-game series. You are looking live from the Goodyear Blimp. Hey, good to have the Blimp with us here tonight as the Marlins and the Braves down below get ready to go. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Streaky, streaky, streaky. The Marlins lost 4 in a row to the Cardinals. Before that, they had won 8 of 10. Before that, they got swept by the Padres. Before that, they had won 9 of 10. What's up with this ball club?
Well, I tell you, Rich, I just feel good because I read a lot of things before the game tonight. And I didn't read where Berkman, Pujols, or Holiday were traded to the Braves. So I feel good that those guys are out of town. It's a fresh new start for the ball club.
Speaking of streaks, it's the talk of baseball, and it's our old friend Dan Uggla. And who would have thought 2 months ago, when Uggla was hitting $170, that he would be riding the longest hit streak in baseball?
I guarantee he would not have thought this, but Dan Uggla comes into this game, a 28-game hitting streak. During that time, look at that, 12 home runs, half of his home runs during the streak, hitting at a .355 average. He's a guy that's hit 30 home runs or more each of the last 4 years. Right now, the only Atlanta Braves players with longer streaks, Rico Carty hit in 31, and Roland Office hit in 29. So he's in some pretty good company, and he is a good friend, but somehow you'd like to see that streak broken here in South Florida.
It's always a good night when you can get a Roland Office reference into your open. Let's talk about the pitchers in this one. Derek Lowe is a guy that has been around and done a lot of things. It's our Coventry Healthcare of Florida starting pitchers. And Brad Hand, well, this is just his 8th start.
Yeah, he's not been around and done a lot of things. But Derek Lowe, 9 straight years of 12 or more wins. He has struggled since the All-Star break, though. 1-3 with a 7.97 ERA. 38-year-old, lots of sinkers when he's on his game. And for Brad Hand, the 21-year-old. So a lot difference in experience between these two pitchers. Threw the ball well against the Braves in Atlanta. 6 innings, 1 hit, and 1 run. That 1 run, an Alex Gonzalez home run.
So it's the Marlins and the Braves. And the Cardinals are nowhere to be seen. So can the Fish bounce back after a nightmare of a weekend? What's up with the home field advantage? The Fish have scuffled in this ballpark. We'll discuss. You do likewise.
Gets set for Game 1 of this 3-game series. I'm Craig Benavides. Hi again, everybody, along with Jeff Konar, and the Marlins are trying to find it here. This has been an historic run at home in terms of losing because of how well they play. When you look at the numbers on the road and compare it, it really is inexplicable. It's hard to get an answer when you look at these numbers. This is all time. The difference, win percentage, home and road, is among the 3 worst we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really one of those things in baseball, like one year you do good in day games, the next year you don't. But to find out a reason why they've done so badly at home is tough to figure out. And it's been, like you see there in the numbers, so well on the road. You want to play 500 ball at home, or on the road to do well at home because you know you're going to have a winning home record, but it hasn't worked out that way this year for the Marlins.
Most teams in all sports do not win on the road, and the Marlins have done it. A +8. Is it the atmosphere?
I think that might have something to do with it. You look to that, obviously, as a reason. Next year they get the brand-new ballpark. I think the excitement of that and the atmosphere there is going to create a lot of winning. It's going to create a winning atmosphere, so we look forward to that for sure.
Having said that, the Marlins have done some winning, no matter what the crowd is. Over the past years, it's been a strange year as far as that goes. All right, game one of this 3-game series coming up. Dan Uggla's got a 28-game hit streak. Does that surprise you?
Yes. You look at Dan Uggla and what he was doing earlier in the year. Not great. 160 average when we saw him. And career, maybe a 250, 260 hitter. So usually you look for the guys that are 300, 350 hitters that are going to have hitting streaks like this. So, guys that get hot like that, they ride it as long as they can. It's gone on for almost a month for Dan Uggla.
Amazing streak. He's hitting 355 in the streak, 39 for 110, and a lot of pop. It's not just base hits. Good for Dan. He went to the 8th inning, 2-out single in the game yesterday at Citi Field to extend it to 28. The Marlins will get a shot at keeping him from 30 or not in this series. That'll be a fun sidebar to watch as we get going for game one of the series next.
Sports Florida, brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, by AT&T, by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste, and by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. Tommy, I see your car down there.
Yeah, I see it. It's looking good. Looking good. No dents. Everything's fine.
The Goodyear blimp high above Sun Life Stadium. 21 more games left in this facility for the Fish. Our weather tonight, 83 degrees. It's brought to you, of course, by All Year Cooling. Overcast, the moon phase, always a popular addition to the All Year Cooling weather report. The Atlanta Braves took 2 of 3 in New York. They come in at 66 and 49. Warren Henry presents their lineup. There you go. I had to wait for the cool lineup music to come. Michael Bourne is in center field. Martin Prado is in left. Freddie Freeman's at first. Dan Uggla in the cleanup spot on that 28-game hit streak. Chipper Jones back in the lineup at third. Alex Gonzalez is at shortstop. David Ross, the catcher. Jose Constanza has been a real shot in the arm, energy-wise, at the bottom of the lineup. And the veteran Derek Lowe hits ninth.
Well, and Brad Hand will have to deal with a couple of guys that we didn't see in that series in Atlanta. Michael Bourne, Chipper didn't play in that 3-game series. He pitched well Brad Hand gave up just 1 run and 1 hit in 6 innings to the Braves. It was a solo home run by Alex Gonzalez. He also threw strikes, and when he does that, he has had much better success, and he can go deeper into the game.
His major league debut against the Braves, and here he is against Michael Bourne. What a nice addition Bourne was. We were in Atlanta the day the Braves acquired Bourne. He had not arrived yet. That was on the final day of the trading period, the non-waiver trading period. Hand misses down low. Bourne, of course, a holy terror when he gets on base. And he, as his career has grown, has figured out a way to get on base. Become a much better hitter, much more patient hitter.
And Richie's also figured out a way how to hit left-handers, hitting .294, because the Braves need that. They have just a .222 average against left-handed pitching.
A Meziga, nice spin move, and Alfredo makes the play. Marlins all a little leery and hopeful that that infield has settled down a little bit.
Yeah, a little shaky in the series against the Cardinals defensively, but there you see it. Brought to you by Warren Henry, with Peterson starting in left field, and Bonifacio and Dobbs on the left side, Meziga and Gabby, and John Buck behind the plate. I think everybody was happy to see that. I mean, we like the Cardinals, but I think we were happy to see them leave.
Boy, the middle of that lineup just chewed the Marlins up. As well, the bullpen of the Cardinals and their starting pitching was good as well. Here is Prado. Martin Prado takes a strike. You got Freddie Freeman right behind him. Prado is in left field when Chipper Jones plays. Martin Prado is in left. When he doesn't, Martin Prado moves to third base. Of course, Prado started last year at second base, played very well there. When Chipper Jones was hurt for the final month and a half of the season, Prado moved to third, and Prado himself got hurt against the Marlins in late September, and they both those guys missed the postseason. And of course, Freddie Gonzalez in his first year.
I think Freddie overall has done a real nice job there, because all eyes have been on him after the tremendous run of Bobby Cox.
Gabby Sanchez, John Buck, and it's Gabby on the warning track. I don't know if Gabby lost it in the blimp or if he because I know it's not quite twilight. There is a cloud cover, but let's take a look from the blimp. That's a pretty cool look.
That is a great look.
Good work up there, our friends at Goodyear. Here is another important reason for the Braves' success: Freddie Freeman. And I don't know that enough people are talking about him, but if you were to say who's your Rookie of the Year right now, this is probably the guy offensively. You might find a pitcher out there or two, maybe a guy at the back end of this Braves bullpen that would qualify. But Freeman has been terrific.
I think the interesting thing, last year, and it happened in spring training because he had a good spring, all the talk was Jason Hayward. There's been a lot less talk about Freddie Freeman, and he's had an outstanding year.
He's had a very similar year to Hayward's year of last year.
Freddie Freeman was the National League Rookie of the month of July.
And he just had his hit streak snapped at 20 games yesterday. 1-2. Breaking ball, and he reaches out and knocks it into right field. Stanton picks it up. And Freeman, who was briefly a teammate of Stanton's on the area code team down in Southern California, is at first base.
Just reaches down. Look, he chokes up on the bat a little bit, and just a nice swing on that breaking ball from Brad Hand. Not a bad pitch. Pitch was away, but a solid swing by Freeman.
So here's Dan Uggla, and pay no attention to that batting average that was up on the screen. All you need to know is that he's hitting 28 straight, a .355 clip with a dozen homers in those 28 games. And the Marlins saw him right in the middle of it when he cranked 2 3-run homers, essentially winning both of those ball games in Atlanta. Marlins won the final game of the series because they kept Uggla in the yard.
Yeah, one off Hansley, one off Anibal Sanchez. You see the career numbers. Of course, a good part of that career as a Marlin, 4 30 home run seasons. Those were Marlin numbers. Excuse me for not reading.
Here's the 1-1. Misses inside.
See what happens when you assume?
Never assume.
See, I think it's helped Dan Uggla with Freeman on his hitting streak. It's almost been like a little competitive thing going back and forth. Sometimes that helps.
We know, having seen Uggla in his 5 years with the Fish, he's a guy that put up incredible numbers and set a lot of Major League historical numbers. One other number that he has touched upon, he has 20 or more home runs again, and he's done it in each of his 6 big league seasons. 2-2 pitch is fouled back to the screen. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, he's still not halfway to the all-time record for most consecutive 20 or more homer seasons starting as a rookie. The record is shared actually by a pair of Braves, Eddie Matthews and Chipper Jones. First 14 seasons for that pair.
A couple of pretty good third basemen, Eddie Matthews and Chipper Jones.
But if Uggla plays long enough, never know. Got Chipper Jones on deck, hand facing Uggla. We're just underway. Freddie Freeman's at first, and a 2-2 coming. Three and 2. It's very simple, just in looking at Brad Hand's starts this year to determine which ones were good and which ones were bad. All you do is look at the walk column. In his last start, just 1 walk, and he was good. He gave up just 2 runs in 5 innings. But here, he walks Uggla, and that brings up Chipper Jones.
Out of the way we used to kind of joke around with Rainiel Pinto. You had good Pinto and bad Pinto. You have good hand and bad hand.
Well, usually with Chipper Jones, it's good Chipper.
Yep.
And he was yesterday had a big hit as the Mets, and he always seems to, whether it was Shea Stadium or Citi Field, he always seems to hurt the Mets.
Well, it was at Shea Stadium where they just started chanting Larry, his given name. So in New York, he's known as Larry.
Named one of his children after Shea Stadium.
Yes.
He loved it so much. But Hand right now is 1-0 on a guy that knows what to do with that thing in his hands.
What's amazing when you think about it, Rich, this is Chipper Jones's 801st at bat against the Marlins. 300 is his lifetime average against the Fish with 40 home runs.
His 18th big league season. And misses inside. The count goes 2-1. He leads all active players in terms of number of years with the same team. And there are your career numbers against the Fish. Last year, a torn ACL, rehabbed it. He's had a couple of injuries this year. Goes after a high changeup, and he hits it in the air to Mike Cameron. And so Brad Hand has an inning in the books. Strands a couple, and we are underway.
Marlins Baseball presentado esta noche por Coventry Healthcare de Florida.
Welcome to the show. That guy's ready. He's got the peanuts going. He's got a little peanut dust on the Marlins shirt.
I like the fish eye black.
Very nice. And his date has the fish eye black on as well. Warren Henry. If Warren Henry were here, he'd be wearing eye black. Emilio Bonifacio is at shortstop. Alfredo Amezaga is at second base. Greg Dobbs is at third. Mike Stanton is at right. Gabby Sanchez hits fifth and plays first. Mike Cameron slides up. Brian Peterson gets the start. Logan Morrison with the cut on his leg is out. John Bucket behind the plate. And Brad Hand hits ninth. And Bonifacio takes outside. David Ross dropping that one behind the plate. And there's a look at Derek Lowe.
Boy, you look at the numbers. Look at the last three starts. 0-3. Opponents hitting well over 300. And that tells you that Derek Lowe has not been getting that good sinker over with any consistency.
The last time he was in this ballpark, his sinker was at its nastiest. That was in early June. In a 3-2 win, he went 6 2/3 innings. Did not give up a run and gave up just 2 hits. Bonifacio was 1 for 4 yesterday. That one was a bunt base hit. And he slices this one down the left field line. Long run for Prado, and it lands foul.
Talked a little bit with Eduardo Perez about Bonifacio, and it's very similar to what you and I have talked about, that he's gotten away just a little bit from what he was doing when he was having so much success. Seeing a lot of pitches. Bonifacio leads the National League, by the way, since the All-Star break in seeing pitches per at bat. He's gotten a little bit away from that and also started chasing that pitch up in the zone as opposed to laying off of it.
Yeah, it was a tough series against St. Louis. He was 2 for 18 against the Cardinals.
You know, but we forget, you have to realize it's a long season. You put together little sections of a season, and over the last 40 games, he's still hit in 35 of those games.
This is a real challenge, I think, for a guy like Bonifacio, because Derek Lowe with that sinker, the 2-2, and we're talking to a couple of Marlin hitters about facing Lowe. You know, the typical approach you hear, if it's coming at your knees, lay off it because it's going to sink. If it's up around your letters, you better take a hack because it's going to drop into the strike zone. 2-2. Bonifacio strokes that into right field. That's a base hit. Constanza actually barehands it, and Emilio Bonifacio is on. The Marlins really missed Omar Infante against the Cardinals. Of course, he's on the disabled list. And with Bonifacio not getting on and Infante not in the lineup, the offense just kind of came to a grinding halt.
Yeah, I think you could really see it. Bonifacio was 2 for 18 in that Cardinal series. Got a little help from Alfredo, though. Alfredo had 3 hits against the Cardinals.
And you've got a good combination here with Amezaga and Bonifacio. You do, however, have a very good throwing catcher behind the plate. David Ross is a better catch and throw guy than perennial all-star Brian McCann,
who, by the way, is still on the disabled list.
Caught stealing percentage this year is 33%. That's good. In his career, 36%. That's great. He's a good player, David Ross. Lowe misses away. It's 2-1. Hadn't picked anybody off, and only 2 have been caught. Bonifacio goes. Amezaga takes Ross's throw. He's out. Bonifacio, I'm not sure agrees with the call. But there's David Ross doing what he does best.
Not the perfect throw. The throw was a little bit offline. It was tailing on the second base side. Did Gonzo tag him? It's a great tag by Alex Gonzalez. And did he tag him before Bonifacio got to the bag? I'm not so sure.
Amezaga takes down low, and it's 3-2. Here's a more definitive look See if we can see the left hand. That looks like he got him.
That's a great tag. Great catch and tag by Alex Gonzalez.
Amezaga walks. So the Marlins have a single that gets thrown out at second, and Amezaga follows that with a walk.
Here's a look at the Braves defensively, brought to you by Warren Henry with Prado, Bourne, and Constanza. Boy, look at the speed in Bourne and Constanza in that outfield. Chipper and Alex Gonzalez, Uggla and Freddie Freeman, and we've talked a little bit already about David Ross behind the plate.
Here is Greg Dobbs. Amezaga bluffs, and Lowe dumps one in the dirt. Talked to Dobbs specifically about Lowe. He's faced him 24 times and 7 for 24 against him. He said when Lowe was here in early June, after his first at bat, Dobbs came back to the dugout and told his teammates he must be cheating because
the ball was moving so much.
He said, I've never seen his sinker move that much. And then Dobbs sat there and realized Lowe had the wind in his face. He had about a 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing into his face. And so the sinker was absolutely nasty.
That's what can happen to a knuckleball pitcher, too, if the wind's blowing in his face.
And before the game, Dobbs and John Buck were watching the tape of that game, and you could just see the sinker just doing ridiculous video game type stuff.
There's a scouting report, our Coventry Healthcare scouting report. Sinkers, yeah, he likes to work fast. The uniqueness of his career, he's had a 21 win season and a 42 save season. He's done a little bit of everything. About a 3-year period where he was the Red Sox closer.
Yeah, 163 wins and 85 saves. And, of course, a big fat World Series ring from his time in Boston. Missed inside to Dobbs. 2-2. Here comes the 2-2. Dobbs pulls a ground ball in the right field, a base hit. Amezaga around second, on his way to third, and he'll get there. So Derek Lowe has yet to get anybody out. It was David Ross who threw out Bonifacio trying to steal, and now the Marlins are set up at first and third with one out. Here's Mike Stanton.
Nice job by Greg Dobbs. When you're a lefty, you love to be able to get a pitch you can take into that hole on the right side. Keep in mind, Constanza, not the strongest of arms for a right fielder. He's more of a center fielder, left fielder arm, and easily getting to third was Amezaga.
Constanza getting the start in right. Jason Hayward getting the night off. And Stanton takes outside. It's 1-0.
I think the key for Mike is to lay off that pitch from Lowe. If he can get him to sink the ball middle of the plate, he's going to be fine. If he chases that breaking ball off the plate, he'll be in trouble.
1 for 8,
Good
3
job.
strikeouts. So that's Stanton's short history with Derek Lowe. Saw him at the end of last year. Saw him early this year. See if Lowe brings it up on the 2-0. Nope. 3-0, and waiting on deck is the guy that the Marlins are hopeful can catch a little fire here. Gabby Sanchez. And you got Mike Cameron. The Marlins tonight are without Logan Morrison. 5 stitches in that leg. It's swollen. He can pinch hit in an emergency. They are also without Hanley Ramirez. Though Hanley did take some swings, he is probably at least 2 or 3 days away from play.
So basically that leaves you with Helms and Wise, because you've got to save Hayes as your extra catcher.
So the Marlins go into this series against the wild card leaders with a very short bench. And Derek Lowe has walked a couple. He's given up a couple of hits. And were it not for David Ross's perfect throw to get Bonifacio.
So he has still faced 4 men and not retired anybody.
Here's Gabby Sanchez. Braves infield back looking for 2. Gabby, a ground ball to third. Chipper on the bag, cross the diamond, and the Braves get the double play. And that is vintage Derek Lowe. Underway and scoreless in Miami. Goodyear, everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Our thanks to our friends up there. Mandy Martin is the pilot. Vigo Brun is the camera person. Even got the reader board going. That's the hum that you hear if you've got the Dolby sound and the surround sound going with the HD set in your living room. First of all, thank you for inviting Tommy and I over tonight. It's very nice of you.
We always appreciate the invite.
We'll do our very best not to mess up the furniture. Alex Gonzalez, David Ross, and Jose Constanza. Brad Hand throws a strike. Speaking of messing it up, the Marlins in the bottom of the first get 2 walks and 2 singles and no runs. Here's the 0-2.
That was one of the big problems in that series against the Cardinals. I mean, there were other issues, but one of the big problems was coming up with that big base hit in a key situation. Just weren't able to do that.
Bouncer to short. Bonifacio behind the bag, and he throws out Gonzalez.
I think sometimes, and in talking with Perry Hill a little bit, sometimes with Bonifacio, he's so quick. He has to kind of slow things down just a little bit. He's so quick to getting the balls and to make the adjustment from third base where he has. He's talking about angles there. Different angles when you're a third baseman that you take to the ball than when you're a shortstop.
Here is David Ross. Brian McCann on the disabled list right now for the Atlanta Braves.
Here's a look at Bonifacio. He gets himself set. Gets there. He's able to time it and get the nice hop and then make a throw. So it's all about footwork, angles, and the transition for Bonifacio. I thought he's done a great job at third base, and he's lately had to be over at shortstop with Hanley out.
Is it just me, or does it sound like the blimp is about to land in center field?
Thank God the apes are gone, though.
Oh, that's right. We finally got the apes cleared out of the ballpark after this weekend. They can have the planet. Ross walks, and Brad Hand has walked a couple.
You were talking before the game, and you made a good point. As we were talking about Jack's roster tonight. With Lomo, you can only use him really in a key spot, so you don't count on him. Hanley isn't available. And then you have Brad Hand, and if he doesn't go deep into the game, you've got to make do with what you have.
Yeah, you're going to have Javi Vasquez making a pinch hitting appearance. You may have a reliever hitting for himself. Because you're really held hostage with Hanley right now. You just don't know. If you put him on the disabled list retroactive to when he was hurt.
Well, the initial diagnosis was 3 to 5 days. It's been longer than that. And he's not going to be ready for a couple more days. I'd be surprised if he plays in this series.
Constanza swings and misses. That's the decision. It's a hard decision, and every ball club goes through it. When a guy gets hurt, if they feel the injury is going to be a week or less, they don't want to disable him for 2 weeks.
But in the meantime, you hurt your ball club by playing with 24 men.
Morrison's injury, pretty gruesome. So much so that Lomo tweeted a picture of the gaping wound on his knee. Lomo got to the dugout. He felt it was just a cut. And then he looked at it and he said, man, it grossed him out. He said he saw a muscle.
Was he sorry he tweeted
Yeah,
that?
he said he saw a muscle and all kinds of stuff. So it was a pretty deep gash. It took 5 stitches. The problem right now isn't so much the stitches, it's the swelling. Constanza puts the bat out and dumps it into left field for a base hit. Jose Constanza. Remember the day that we were in Atlanta. Constanza had just come up for that weekend with Nate McLouth's injury and the trade for Michael Bourne. We thought Constanza was going to be there for a couple of days. Well, the Braves liked his energy so much, and the fact that he could play multiple outfield positions, they chose to keep him on the roster even when Bourne joined the team.
Over 3,000 at-bats in the minor leagues.
And he's hitting well over 400 in the big leagues.
By the way, I was just thinking when you're telling that story about Lomo, had there been Twitter and tweeting in Curt Schilling's day, he could have tweeted a picture of the bloody sock.
They feel that once the swelling goes down, he should be able to play with the stitches in his leg. Lowe swings and fouls it back to the screen. It was a bizarre play. It's the spike of Bonifacio that sliced over the knee of Morrison right there. See that just slice open the...
Yeah, you see the pant leg open up.
The Marlins did their best to patch up the leg, and Morrison continued in the game. Dobbs has to get it, and he fires over to first with Emezga covering. A nice bunt by Derek Lowe, and so Michael Bourne comes up with runners at second and at third.
Almost a little miscommunication. Then at the last minute, you heard Dobbs call for it. Brad Hand started to come over. But when you have that in-between situation, you want the third baseman to field it.
You know, we were talking and have been all weekend about the patchwork field here. And that shot from the blimp is a great illustration of what we've been talking about, of how with the Dolphins scrimmage and the soccer match here, what the grounds crews had to deal with. Bourne pops up a bunt. Gabby can't get there.
Michael Bourne just caught a break, and there's a great shot of all that patchwork that both infields will be dealing with. this is a break for Bourne because there's a poor bunt attempt and somehow it dropped and he gets another shot. I doubt he'll be bunting here.
Gabby is still deep at first.
You know, there was a lot of talk when we were in Atlanta around the trading deadline. Certainly the Braves were interested in, you heard Beltran's name, you heard Hunter Pence's name. Well, they went to other teams. Beltran to the Giants, Pence to the Phillies. And the Braves really filled a couple of needs with the center fielder and with a leadoff man in Michael Bourne.
0-2 coming. Not that he was playing that well, but Nate McLouth injured and has undergone surgery for a sports hernia.
Boy, and how about, speaking of injuries, how about the Mets again with Daniel Murphy, knee injury, probably out for the year.
And Reyes
back on the disabled list, hamstring issues.
1-2 pitch. Ground ball up the middle. That's trouble. Amezaga. His only play is to third. Everybody is safe. A run has scored.
One team capitalizes, the other team wasn't able to. That's been the story of the Marlins' problems.
Bourne gets an RBI hit. It was a heads-up play by Amezaga. He almost got Constanza after he turned third.
It's a heads-up play by Amezaga because he has no shot at all at first base. And a quick throw, but just getting back in time was Constanza. Now you got to be alive for Bourne.
Yes. 41 stolen bases this year. He bluffs. I wouldn't be surprised if Bourne is just trying to get Hand to go over there because you've got great speed at third base as well, Tommy. And the danger here for Hand is if he makes a slow move to first is that Constanza steals home.
You have to really be aware, especially as a left-handed pitcher in this situation.
I think if there's one thing that we've seen from Brad Hand in his short stay in the big leagues is he's still learning how to field his position.
And because of his athletic ability, that should fall into place.
Yes.
He should be able to do that.
Very good athlete in high school. There's that move to first. You can see Gabby was more in tune with what Constanza was doing as to what Bourne was doing. And he was a standout hockey player, football player, and baseball player in Chaska, Minnesota. Gatorade Player of the Year in 2008 and a second-round draft pick. Prado gets into that one. Cameron going back at the track. Won't get it. And it bounces over the wall and out of play. Constanza scores. Bourne has to go back to third. That's a 420-foot double.
And the Braves get penalized a little bit because that ball did bounce out. And Bourne could have walked home. But he has to go back to third base. This ball really smoked by Prado. Fastball right there, middle of the plate. You saw where John Buck was trying to catch it. One hop on that turf and bounces out of here. So that at least keeps that third run to this point from coming in to score.
Prado now with 19 doubles.
So the Braves getting a couple of two-out base hit RBIs.
And here comes Freeman. He's singled back in the first. Well, the walk certainly hurt. A one-out walk to David Ross. And that started the inning. Constanza single, the bunt by Lowe. Now Brad Hand is behind Freddie Freeman. Freeman leads all National League rookies on base percentage, slugging percentage, batting average, and he drives that one into center. He's going to knock home 2 more runs. Oh yeah, he's first in RBIs. 4-0 Atlanta.
Not fooling anybody is Brad Hand. And the left-hander, Freddie Freeman, with 2 line drive base hits. This one drives in 2 runs.
Now Uggla, who walked in the first.
It's a tough assignment when you've not played well. You've lost 4 in a row in that Cardinal series, and you open up a series against the wild card leader, second best record in the National League, and you're depending on a 21-year-old to shut down the Atlanta Braves. Brad Hand making just his 8th start as a major leaguer.
To take that a step further, the Marlins are also carrying a sputtering offense right now, which was evident in the first inning, in which they got 2 walks and 2 base hits against Derek Lowe and didn't get a run. Bonifacio was thrown out trying to steal, and Gabby Sanchez bounced into a double play to end the inning. Uggla takes inside, and it's 1-2.
To illustrate the importance of Hanley in your lineup, even if he's not hitting the way we've seen him, in the 24 starts that Bonifacio's had at short, the ball club is 4-20.
Uggla, little tapper, back to the mound. Hand tosses to first in time. Inning over, but the Braves put a 4-spot up. Level ticket. Get you all the hot dogs, peanuts, nachos, popcorn, and soda that you can stand, all for one low price. And you've got the defending world champion Giants coming in on the 12th. 305-626 save. Look at that. Now that is multitasking. Is that batting helmet filled with popcorn? Now that is impressive. Look at that. You would think.
How could she carry all that?
Yeah, I mean, you would think one of the kids would go up and help her with that. I mean, Mom had to go get all of that.
Look at that.
Mike Cameron goes after a fastball. Constanza makes the catch. Marlins here in the second.
Look at Dad. Well, he had to stay there with the kids, though. Dad had to stay with the kids. And Mom, knowing guys, Mom knew that Dad couldn't carry all that. No way a guy could carry all that stuff.
Mom brought something for Dad. Look at Dad doesn't want it. Brian Peterson takes a strike. Brian Peterson made a grand entrance into yesterday's ball game in the drizzle and the rain, with the Marlins down a couple in the 6th with 2 outs. He had an epic at bat against Mitchell Boggs, and he finally got a pitch that he liked, and he sent it over the wall in right center field for his first big league home run.
Yeah, he was able to zero in on one of those Boggs' fastballs.
Off the end of the bat, a lot of English out to Gonzalez. Whips it over just in time. And Derek Lowe now has a lead. And you'll see a veteran pitcher with a lead who's just going to pound the strike zone with those sinkers.
Well, and the other thing, we talk about it all the time this year with Atlanta. You get a lead, then all of a sudden you start getting to the 6th inning, and you have those guys, O'Flaherty and Venters and Kimbrel, and that bullpen goes to work.
Yeah, the Cardinal bullpen was very good. The Braves bullpen is better. There is Buck now. Lowe misses away in the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Buck had yesterday off. Had a very good series against the Cardinals. One of the few Marlin hitters that did. He was 4 for 7. Lowe doesn't have to give him anything right down the middle of the plate. He's got the pitcher Brad Hand on deck. But Buck goes after a pitch in the dirt anyways.
Yeah, he thought he was going to get a fastball there. Yeah, the Marlins in their 9 games against the Braves are just 3-6. They've hit just 203 against Atlanta and only 4 home runs in those 9 games.
And we talked about it when we were in Atlanta, that the Marlins have not played well against the Braves, have not played well against the Phillies this year. And, of course, that's an obvious problem. Now, there's a lot of other teams that can say the same thing, but when you're in this division and you're getting smoked by both Philadelphia and Atlanta, that's not good. That Derek Lowe fastball came back and caught the corner. Top of the fish in the 3rd. Here's our poll question tonight. Tickets of America. Major League Baseball considering the addition of 2 more wild card teams. Do you like the idea? 70% say yes, 30% say no. Standard text and data rates apply. I would be in the A, yes category.
I think I would be too.
I'm not sure what the format might be. Here is Chipper Jones. There's a couple different scenarios that Major League Baseball has tossed around. One is that if you brought a fifth team in each league into the postseason, then you would have the fourth and the fifth teams, the two wild card teams, so to speak, play each other in either a one-game winner-take-all matchup or a brief three-game series, and then they move on to play the next.
I like just the one game. I mean, they should be happy they had a chance to get to postseason. And I think if you lengthen it, then all of a sudden those other teams are too many days after the season before those other series open up. So I make it a one-day, one-game playoff and go from there.
Here's the 1-2. Chipper Jones with a high fly ball. Cameron is over, and he makes the catch. You know, the other part of that, though, Tommy, is add a wild card team and move a team from the National League to the American League and make it 15 teams. So you're not taking 5 teams from a 14-team American League and 5 teams from a 16-team.
Yeah, I still kind of like that idea. I really haven't had a good way to put it all together to see how it would work, but I kind of like that. At least there's an equal amount of teams in each league.
Because if you're a member of the National League Central and there's 5 other teams in your division, there's 6 teams total, you're looking at the American League West saying, what's the deal?
There's only 4 teams over there.
Only 4 teams over there. All you have to do is be the best out of 4. And here you got to be the best out of 6. John Buck. And it's out of play. Alex Gonzalez at the plate. You got David Ross coming up as well. The Braves hung a 4 spot on rookie Brad Hand in the second. A 1-out walk to David Ross kind of opened the door. Count 1-2.
You look at the Braves record. They've managed to play well on the road. Freddie Gonzalez's team 32-27 away from Turner Field, 34-22 at home.
Good pitch by Brad Hand. He strikes out Alex Gonzalez. Here's a look on Fox Tracks. Gonzalez barked about this one, but it was right on the inside corner.
Yeah, I think that's because he had his sights set on something away. And when that happens and then all of a sudden a pitch comes in, that was a good pitch by Brad.
Now David Ross. Ross a swing and a miss. I guess you measure a backup catcher by, does he hold down the fort when he's starting ball games? And the Braves are 21-10 in games that Ross has started this year. He's kind of been Tim Hudson's personal catcher for a while. But 21-10 is better than holding down the fort. That's why the Braves signed him to a multi-year contract, which you rarely ever hear for a backup catcher.
Well, he's a veteran, certainly. He's 34. So he's at that point in his career. He knows he's not going to be an everyday catcher.
High fly ball towards the corner. Peterson gives chase. Guy had the ball right there. That number 77.
Ross checking with Hunter Wendelstedt. Is that a strike? Sometimes you swing at a pitch and that's that home plate umpire. You want to get confirmation.
1-2. Last time out, just one walk, and that was in New York. Ameziga, and Alfredo squeezes it, and Hand has his first 1-2-3 inning. By Marooney. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONEY. And by FPL. FPL is constantly working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient to offer reliable service today and for years to come. Visit FPL.com to learn more. From the Goodyear blimp, high above Sun Life Stadium, Brad Hand takes a strike. Hand, Emilio Bonifacio, and Alfredo Ameziga. Derek Lowe with a 4-run lead is out in front. 0-2 on Hand. Fouled at the plate. The Braves coming from New York, where they took 2 of 3 from the Mets. The Mets and the Padres opening up a series tonight, and New York has a 4-1 lead in the 4th.
David Wright just homered, 2-run shot.
Jason Bay is homered. 4-1 in the 4th. New York. Hand still looking for his first big league hit. And you know what? There it is. Brad Hand bangs one into center field. And so there's the first big league hit.
That's good to see. Hit the baseball for him. He had a good swing, good approach against the sinker baller. Took him right back up the middle. Good job, Brad Hand. And that wasn't a good sinker because it was up near his eyes.
Eduardo's got the ball. Oh, I can't believe Mike Kozak dropped it and it rolled in the tobacco juice and the sunflower seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Bubble gum.
Got all kinds of brown stains all over it now.
Cozy will clean it up. Now Bonifacio, and you know the Marlins in the first inning, as Bonifacio slices one into left for his second hit. The Marlins were set up in the first. Bonifacio led off with a base hit. He was caught stealing. Meziga walked, Dobbs singled, Stanton walked. And then, of course, the double play ended the inning.
Well, good news tonight. A couple of really nice swings by Bonifacio, who struggled in that St. Louis series. 2 nice swings, 2 singles. Looks like Bonnie's back on track. Now, Marlins need to try to get that big base hit in an inning.
Now you've got a Meziga up. And he swings at a breaking ball that almost came inside and clipped him. It's 0-1. Rolls over on one and drops it into right field. The base hit. Hand is held. And so, Tommy, here are the Marlins again on the brink of a nice inning, much like they were back in the first.
Now you have a good part of the order. You would expect to get a couple of runs, maybe more. In this situation, bases loaded, nobody out.
All started by a leadoff single by rookie Brad Hand. And now Greg Dobbs is up. Dobbs singled through the right side back in the first.
Sounds like the Goodyear Blimps getting in position for this big inning.
Either that or Vuvuzela night is back.
Now that was a good pitch.
0-1.
It's a pitch, first pitch as a hitter. You don't want to go after because Lowe put it right where he wanted.
0-1 pitch. And it's up. Brad Hand, the 21-year-old rookie, his first big league hit. Emilio Bonifacio is 2 for 2. Meziga has been on base twice. And amazingly, the Marlins don't have a run. And that's kind of the way that the offense has gone lately. Dobbs fouls that one back. Derek Lowe with a count 1-2 on Greg Dobbs. Dobbs was talking about that game in early June when Lowe's sinker was just unhittable. Since that game, though, Lowe's ERA has been 6.5. And he went after a high fastball. Lowe gets a strikeout.
It's so tantalizing because you know when he makes a mistake up there, his ball's not going to have the same action and movement. That one was a little bit too high, but your eyes kind of line up when you see a sinker ball pitcher miss up because he doesn't want to miss in that area.
Well, here is Stanton. Mike is a good low ball hitter, but he laid off Derek Lowe's assortment of sinkers in the first and walked. Lowe gets strike one. Bases loaded, 1 out. Braves up 4-0, and Stanton takes. It's 1-1. Off the plate, 2-1.
That's the pitch we talked about first time up for Mike, that if he can stay off that, lay off that, he might get a better pitch to hit. He did have a pretty good series against St. Louis. Mike was 5 for 15.
He walked 3 times yesterday. He's walked once tonight. Checks his swing. No swing, says Brian Knight at first, and now Stanton is sitting on a 3-1 pitch with the bases loaded. That was very close.
Very close. 90% of the time, that one's called. So you got a break. He stayed off that slider. See if he gets a sinker. He got a little slider. 3-1 slider. That's respect from a 38-year-old to a 21-year-old. And a good pitch.
So let's see what he gets. 3-2. Bag still loaded. Missed down low.
Boy, great patience, because with the bases loaded, that's a tough pitch to take for any hitter. And Mike Stanton showed some really nice patience.
You could see the reaction from Derek Lowe. He felt he had the strike. Let's take a peek. Boy, it's borderline, but it's in the same spot as the pitch that he called the ball earlier in the at bat. So the Marlins may have gotten another break there. They'll take it. They can use it after getting swept by the Cardinals. Here's Gabby Sanchez. And he pulls that one foul. Big at bat for the Marlins. And it was a big at bat for Derek Lowe when Sanchez stepped in the first. In the exact same spot with the bases loaded and one out. Sanchez went after the first pitch, a low sinker, and he bounced it to Chipper Jones for an inning-ending double play. 0-1. Bases filled with Fish. Bonifacio. Ameziga, reacquired just 3 days ago. And of course Stanton, who has outstanding speed. Gabby pokes a little ground ball. Ugla to his left has it. That'll score a run. And the Marlins have cut the Braves' lead in half. It's now 4-2.
What we've seen Gabby do lately is get pitches that aren't really his pitches, put them in play. Picked up an RBI. It's a whole lot better than a double play or a strikeout. But there was a time we were seeing Gabby get that good pitch and then have a nice rip and drive it in a gap. But the good news, run came in, and the Marlins were able to half the lead.
Now Cameron to face Lowe. Mike hit a fly ball out to Jose Constanza back in the second inning. Got a Meziga and Stanton out there still with 2 outs. The Marlins getting Derek Lowe right out of the chute in this 3-game series. Brandon Beachy, the right-hander, and then Tim Hudson. In the final game, that one is cranked foul. Hudson against Anibal Sanchez. Clay Hensley tomorrow night for the Fish.
Marlins saw Beachy and Hudson in that series in Atlanta.
David Ross on his way out to the mound to talk to Derek Lowe. Mike Cameron. Now that's and that fan is a sharp one, because Ameziga has taken Ugla's old number. Ameziga is wearing number 6.
I tell you, just in talking to him, he's so happy to be here.
And Cameron on a breaking ball got fooled and pops it up. Alex Gonzalez makes the catch. Marlins are on the board with a couple, trailing at 4-2.
Fourth, Jose Constanza set to lead things off for the Braves, and he's made quite an impression on the Braves staff since coming up July 29th. Not only has he been great at the plate, they love his energy, his speed, and a big milestone yesterday, hitting his first home run of his big league career in just his 9th game, and that's impressive because in 2,782 career minor league games, he hit just 6 home runs. I talked to manager Freddie Gonzalez. He said he's just a fun guy to watch, and about that speed, he said he's actually as fast, if not faster, than Michael Bourne. He said there's no way he could figure out which one was faster, and he showed that speed in the minor leagues, stealing 286 bases in his 9 seasons there. He's 27 years old, and Gonzalez thinks that experience, that age, has helped him have so much success so quickly here in the big leagues. Guys.
And Allison and Tommy, the addition of both Constanza and Bourne has added a dimension that the Braves have not had in a long time. I mean, all you have to do is go back to 2008. Since 2008, the Braves as a team have stolen 224 bases. Bourne himself in that same time, 195 stolen bases. So when you got both these guys in the lineup, that, you know, they didn't get Beltran, they didn't get Hunter Pence, but they've certainly helped themselves with Michael Bourne. And Constanza just keeps flipping hits into left field.
We were having some fun earlier putting together our National League relay team. And certainly you could have both Constanza and Bourne. You throw in Emilio Bonifacio, and you might like to have the little outfielder we saw just briefly with the Cubs, Tony Campana, who can fly.
Lowe going to try to bunt. Pops it up. Buck. And Johnny face first going hard after it.
It's another reason, Rich, with the addition of Constanza and with Michael Bourne around, why Freddie Gonzalez a few times has hit his pitcher 8th and Constanza 9th. Now, he's not doing it tonight because against a left-hander, he didn't want to do it against a lefty. But that gives him back-to-back speedsters in the 9th spot and then the leadoff spot.
Might see it tomorrow night against Clay Hensley. That fastball is up. Constanza was involved in that awkward play. Look at the
oh, that's gorgeous.
The view from the Goodyear blimp as night falls on South Florida. Constanza involved in that odd play that injured Daniel Murphy yesterday. Gabby picks it up. Constanza, whoa! Amezaga holds on, barely. The Braves felt that he didn't stay on the bag, but Amezaga says, hey, I have the ball. Foot was on the base.
There's the catch.
His foot's on the
base.
Foot's on.
He almost drops it when he crashes down on the ground because he snow coned it, but able to hang on. Oh, man.
Now Hand has got to get...
facial expression tells it all right there from Amezaga.
Got to get Bourne and got to get Prado now. With Constanza out at second. Sharp ground ball. Gabby's got it. He'll get to first and step on the bag. It sounds like Daniel Murphy is done for the season because of that knee injury. A sprained ligament in his left knee. Constanza slid into second, and then his foot bounced off the bag and up into the leg of Murphy.
And then the knee kind of twisted.
And Murphy had to be helped from the field. And as you pointed out today, too, Reyes with his hamstring, the Mets finally decided this afternoon to put him on the disabled list.
Say that price tag's going down a little bit. Jose Reyes. Ryan Sanchez starts to get loose. His free agency is pending. But the Carl Crawford money is dwindling.
We end up with Joan Crawford money. No, he will, you know, that's a tough one, though. I mean, he's had such a great year. I know he's had hamstring problems in the past.
Let's see, that's what's going to really, if anything, it's going to take away years. I mean, he's thinking 7 years. He's not going to get 7 years. he has shown that he's had hamstring problems.
2 outs. Constanza's at third. Prado hit one 420 feet for a double his last time up, and he takes up. Would a guy like Reyes then turn around and say, all right, I'm going to sign a 1-year deal and prove that I'm healthy and try to have another bang-up year?
If I were his agent, I wouldn't advise him to do that, because if the hamstring problems continue, then each year goes down.
3-1 now to Prado. Even though you got Freeman on deck, Freeman's 2 for 2, and he's hit the ball hard twice against Hand. And Hand lost him. Randy St. Clair is on his way out to the mound. Let's do some trivia. AT&T trivia time. Phone flips. We speak. All-time Braves. Which pitcher has surrendered the most home runs at Sun Life Stadium?
Well, you probably, I mean, part of you wants to go with maybe an obscure name, but
it's got to be one of the big three,
yeah,
right?
I mean, because Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox pitched so many games here, it's got to be one of those guys.
Who gave up more home runs of those three? Now, maybe Smoltz less so because he was a closer for a spell.
For a few years.
So maybe you eliminate Smoltz and you go with either Glavine or Maddox.
That's good deduction, Rich. That's good.
It's like I read that in the SAT preparation booklet
for your UC Davis classes.
Yeah, right. Prado's at first. Now Freeman. Line drive single to right, line drive single to left center. And the base hit he had in the second knocked in 2 runs.
Well, the 2 columns that just don't look good for Brad Hand: 25 walks and 22 strikeouts on the year.
Freeman went fishing after a breaking ball. It's 1-1.
And as you pointed out, the games that he is limited and had few walks are the games that he's pitched well.
Got Prado at first. Great speed with Constanza at third. Freeman a ground ball, and Mezigan to his left. Now Alfredo flips it, and Hand escapes the fourth and leaves 2 Braves on. It's 4-2 Atlanta.
In the 4th inning, Brian Peterson set to lead it off for the Florida Marlins, and Brian Peterson now celebrating his first big league homer. It came in a big spot yesterday as Peterson was able to tie the game up. It was the Marlins' first pinch hit homer of the season, but for Petey, his first big league homer after cracking 51 in 5 years in the minor leagues. But this year, not only his average up to 355 in AAA, he had 11 homers in just less than 250 at bats. But I talked to Eduardo Perez today about Peterson. We've not seen him in previous years, like last year when he struggled in that tough role off the bench for a young player. And one thing Eduardo said today was how well he is laying off pitches, that the game has slowed down a bit. He approaches the at-bats with a purpose. He also said he asks a lot of questions, and he likes to see that. And he's knowledgeable. He said guys will go up to him and ask him questions about hitting, even in the batting cage. Brian will take his hits, then talk to the next guy about hitting and approach. So he said he's really an alert player, and he uses those skills even off the bench. And hopefully he'll get some more starts, he says, and get a chance to show what he could do.
All right, Craig, and talk about celebrating your first home run. Brian was nice enough, along with 3 of his teammates, to come out and join us last night at Tommy Bahama on Las Olas Boulevard. And I have to say, we had an hour-and-a-half rain delay and a 3.5-hour game. We got there late, but that place was packed with Marlin fans. And they broke into applause when Peterson walked into the store, because they knew he had hit his first big league home run.
And he thought it was staged, but it wasn't.
No, people just, all of a sudden, Petey showed up, and fans went wild. Now, to finish the story, Tommy Bahama, it was a charity event, so players are not compensated for charity events, so these players are taking their own time.
That ball's that far inside, Freddie. That's a ball. Right. You want to go? You looking to get right?
There he goes.
Boom, just like that. You heard Hunter Wendelstedt say that ball is this far inside. And once Freddie continued the conversation, you can't argue balls and strikes. Didn't take long for Hunter Wendelstedt to run Freddie.
So Freddie has been tossed from the ball game. Here's a look at it. It's in. And you heard Hunter Wendell said, "Are you looking to get run?"
Yeah.
And Freddie's gone. Here's the 2-2. Peterson pulls it. And Uggla's throw. Wow, that was close. Peterson almost beat it out. Just to finish the story, Tommy Bahama was nice enough for the 4 Marlin players that came out on their own for nothing and spent time and had a good time. Tommy Bahama let each player pick out a shirt.
That's great.
Peterson picked out a shirt that on the back of it said, "Pinch hitter." He found a baseball-themed shirt that said "pinch hitter" on it, and that capped off his night after a pinch hit home run, his first big league homer. So you never anticipate a manager getting tossed in the middle of a story.
Yeah, just like that. To continue to a theme that we've talked about with the Marlins offense, even last inning with the Marlins scoring 2 runs. 1 run came in on a bases loaded walk. The other came in on a fielder's choice. So the Marlins still couldn't come up with that big base hit.
John Buck, a chopper out towards short. Gonzalez checks the ball and throws him out. I'm going Maddox.
I think Glavine may have given up more home runs, so I'll go with Glavine.
Oh, only by 1. Wow. Only by 1.
Kyle Davies, how'd he get in there?
By giving up 5 homers. Brad Hand had a base hit his last time up, and he pulls a ground ball over to Freddie Freeman. 4-2, Derek Lowe in charge and on top. League skipper Carlos Tosca. Marlins, a former bench coach, Freddie's right-hand man, will now manage the ball club.
He turns it over. Third time Freddie's been tossed this year. Next to Carlos Tosca, the hitting coach with the Braves, Larry Parrish, who also managed in the big leagues with the Tigers. So they're taken care of over there on the bench.
Brad Hand now enters the fifth, trailing 4-2. Hand has thrown 81 pitches so far in just 4 innings. As we talked about, without Logan Morrison and without Hanley Ramirez, a short bench for the Fish. And so they'd like to see Hand get as deep as he can. And with a limited supply of pinch hitters, down right now to the Braves 4-2.
And one of the other little subplots of this game is the Dan Uggla 28-game hitting streak.
JM Lexus presents leaders of the game. Active streaks right now. Ryan Zimmerman is up to 16. Nicky Matsui has caught fire. He's at 15. At JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com.
It's almost like with Matsui, I've been watching. It happened a month or so ago when he finally got that 500th home run. Career numbers, Japan and U.S. It seemed like from that point on, he started hitting some home runs, and he's been on a tear.
Two and one to Uggla. Check swing and a ball in the dirt. He didn't go. It's 3-1. Well, the 28-game streak, obviously 2 more than Emilio Bonifacio. 2 shy of the season-long streak of Andre Ethier. And as Jeff Conine said on Marlins Live, you never would expect a guy like Uggla to go on this type of streak, 28 games.
Yeah, and the reason, and I thought it was a great point by Niner, because Uggla's a streaky type hitter, but in the power area, and he's going to strike out. So he's not the prototypical hitter that's going to go on a long streak.
You're not surprised that he's hit 12 home runs in the 28 games.
No.
But you're a little bit surprised that he has hits in all 28 games. 3-2.
His longest streak as a Marlin was 12.
Remember, Dustin Pedroia and Bonifacio's streaks ended on the same night. Hunter Pence has been a real nice fit for the Phillies. He just has picked up, and no surprise to you and me, has played very well. This is going to be a tough play. Bonifacio safe, and Uggla's streak is at 29. Dan Uggla off the end of the bat. Bonifacio got rid of it as fast as he could.
Having watched Dan Uggla over the years and seen as many games that he's played, we know that on a pitch he gets fooled like that, but really gets out of the box quickly. And he just beat it, an infield hit. 29 consecutive games now for Daniel.
29.
He had been tied in Atlanta Braves history with Marquise Grissom.
He's now 2 shy of the all-time Braves record.
Yeah, Rico Carty at 31. And a favorite of ours, he's tied with now Roland Office at 29.
1976, Roland Office hit in 29 straight games for the Atlanta Braves. That's when Chief Nakahoma was in all his glory out in left field.
Oh, yeah. Celebrated every one of those hits.
Oh, 2. Chipper Jones twice has flied to center. Was Chief Nakahoma gone by the time Chipper Jones broke in with the Braves?
Yeah, I think so. I forget what year he actually went out to pasture, but I believe it was before Chipper arrived. Chipper arrived just for a few games in '93. That was always the interesting thing. You think about his numbers, he was all set to be the everyday third baseman. '94, tore up his knee in spring training, so he missed the entire '94 season.
Well, '95 was a good year, though, to be a Brave.
So he made it a nice year in '95, a World Series year, and probably thought he'd win 3 or 4 more.
Smacks that one into center. Cameron over to get it. Ugla with a big turn. And the Braves have a couple hits here in the 5th, and we'll see how Jack McKeon reacts to this. Marlins bullpen was active earlier in the game, and it looks like it's going to start buzzing again.
Well, a missed pitch, a pitch that was up. And when you don't have that overpowering fastball, Randy St. Clair is going to give Brian Sanchez some time to get loose. Tough to get away with that high fastball, especially to a guy like Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones' career winding down. He still has another year left on his contract with pretty big money. But you would sense that if he decided that this were the end of the road, if this were the last year, that they'd probably find a way to roll that contract into a personal services type deal.
Yeah, Chipper Jones in some capacity will be associated with the Braves for a long time.
So Chipper's at first. Ugla, who's extended his hit streak to 29 games, is at second. And right now, rookie Brad Hand is pitching to stay in this game.
You know, not to the degree of Freeman's and now Dan Ugla. Alex Gonzalez has an 8-game hitting streak at this point.
He's a guy you would not expect to have a long hitting streak. He had a tremendous offensive year last year, but his numbers have regressed this season. Last year, combined between Toronto and Atlanta, he had 42 doubles, drove in 88, had 23 homers. But it's been a struggle offensively for him this year. And pounding him inside with a breaking ball.
Yeah, Alex with 146 career home runs. Speaking of milestones, you see where Michael Young, the Texas Rangers, reached the 2,000 hit mark in his career.
We had the discussion when the Marlins were in Texas and we saw Young that he's possibly a guy that could get to 3,000 if he stays healthy and continues to spray line drives all over the American League, especially if he remains a Texas Ranger and gets to hit in that ballpark for half of his games.
In that ballpark and with that lineup.
Yes.
Too.
That helps. But he's been a terrific hitter.
One thing from Brad Hand tonight, we haven't seen the command that he's had a little bit. We haven't seen the command of that changeup.
Buck has to smother it. And it counts 2-2. Chipper Jones, Dan Ugla. In a 4-2 ball game in the top of the 5th, the Braves roll in at 66 and 49, wild card leaders. That ball is crushed, left field deep. Peterson back. It is caught, a blue cedar for Alex Gonzalez, and the Braves crack this one wide open. It is 7-2.
Talking about the lack of command of the changeup. That 79-mile-an-hour changeup floated right there for Alex Gonzalez to take care of, his 10th home run of the year. Watch where this pitch is. Middle of the plate, belt high, and Gonzo all over it.
Now David Ross. And it's 1-0. Well, if you're Jack McKeon, what do you do here? Do you leave the kid out there to try to finish the inning? Do you come get him? Hand is at 100 pitches.
I think depending on how things go, you'd like to have him just finish the inning and then go to your bullpen. But he has to throw strikes to do that. And again, you think about this game. A big home run here or there for the Marlins, and it's not that big a lead. But the Braves get that big hit. Got a couple of them in the second inning, and then a huge one from Alex Gonzalez here with a couple of men on.
And just like in the St. Louis series, the Marlins had a bases loaded 1-out situation in the first, did not score. They did, with a walk and a ground ball, construct 2 runs in the third. The 2-2. And he strikes out David Ross. So the first out of the 5th inning, and we prefaced the night by telling you Atlanta, and Craig and Niner talked about this, the worst against left-handed pitching in baseball. 222 average.
Well, you have a guy who's up from Double-A and probably should have finished the year at Double-A, but because of a need, the Marlins have had to insert Brad Hand in the rotation. And I think you and I talked about it in his last start. You look at a number of his minor league starts, and he's going 5 innings, throwing 100 pitches. And if you do that in the minor leagues, you're sure going to do it up here.
And sure enough, he's got 1 out here in the 5th, and he's at 106 pitches. Costanza just keeps on hitting. Even his outs are line drives. It may have taken him a lifetime of minor league games seemingly to get here, and he's making the most of it.
Yeah, he is. You know, and you see a guy play the way he's played, you wonder how in the world did he stay that long in the minor leagues, most of it with the Cleveland Indians organization. And you root for guys like that.
Absolutely.
Because then you see all the first-round picks who get all the chances in the world and get up to the big leagues a lot faster than he ever got. By the way, for Gonzo, that was his 42nd home run here in this ballpark. That's 9th all-time in Marlins history.
Of course, he has one of the most famous home runs, if maybe not the most famous home run, hit in this ballpark.
That's right, and I wonder if that's included on this list.
I don't know that postseason numbers are included.
Might not be.
There's his corner.
Yeah, that was just regular season.
And as this 2011 season winds down in this ballpark, after tonight there are 20 games left here. That may be one of the top moments. I would expect the top moment in this ballpark has to be Edgar Renteria's walk-off hit to win the '97 World Series.
Jeff Conine's throw to the plate to get JT Snow.
That's a great one.
Might have to throw in an Al Leiter no-hitter. Anibal Sanchez no-hitter. AJ threw his in San Diego. Kevin Brown threw his in San Francisco.
How about a Miguel Cabrera Major League debut?
Extra inning, straightaway center field home run.
Or the Cabrera World Series homer against Roger Clemens after he got knocked down.
Oh, to right center after he buzzed him and knocked him down.
Struck him out. Low goes down. Hand does finish the inning. But Alex Gonzalez hits his 10th of the season. A hanging changeup into the blue seats. By Just for Men mustache and beard. Dan Uggla, little tapper, lots of hustle, and a 29-game hit streak. So Uggla has extended his hit streak. Brought to you by Just for Men. Keep your edge. Let's check in with Allison Williams. Allie?
Rich, as we see Dan Uggla extend his hitting streak to 29, the question is how, especially for a guy that was hitting just 173 prior to the streak. Here's what Uggla had to say.
I've had a little bit of luck. My timing is better. I've given myself a better chance each time I go up to the plate and hit. So it just took a long time for my timing to click this year. So for whatever reason, who knows? I'm just glad it did. Eventually. It's been a nice run, and I just want to continue it and keep having fun.
You heard Uggla mention luck. Well, he seemed especially lucky in July at Cincinnati. He came in the 9th inning and on the 22nd to pinch hit, and he got a 2-run home run, his first pinch hit of his career. Then 2 days later, still in Cincinnati, it seemed the streak was snapped at 14 games on the 24th of July. But the next day, an error was changed to a hit, so the streak stayed alive. So Uggla proving not only is he lucky and good, and sometimes a little bit of both. Guys.
He's also, Allison and Tommy, pretty much kept his head about him while all of this has gone on and while all the struggles happened in April and May. I remember he told us when we were in Atlanta, the 0-2 to Bonifacio is strike 3 called. He told us that many of his teammates had come up to him when he started to hit and told him they have more respect for him now, just having watched how he handled himself during the struggles.
Yeah, I think that meant a lot to Dan with the struggles that he had. He's also, I believe, 4 or 5 times during the streak gotten a hit in his last at bat, too.
Alfredo Amezaga has reached base twice. He's walked and singled. Alfredo takes a strike. It's got to be a blast from the past, although Freddie's not still around to see it. But before the ball game and early in the game, before Freddie Gonzalez was ejected, he and Carlos Tosca to see Alfredo Amezaga.
Oh, I know they both took time to say their hellos, and everybody was smiling.
Amezaga flips one out to left field. Prado makes the catch. And the 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Baker Concrete Super Saturdays coming up on the 13th. Tommy, don't miss RKM and Ken Y, presented by AT&T. Marlins and the Giants are at 7:10. And the post-game concert comes after that. 1-877 Marlins, or go to marlins.com. Here's Dobbs. Greg Dobbs singled in the first, struck out in the third. The Marlins have had Derek Lowe on the ropes, so to speak, a couple times, and have just squeezed out only the 2 runs.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about a game. You never know. If you look back to that 3rd inning, a big hit here or there, you never know how that's going to affect the way Lowe pitches. You don't know how things turn out with Gonzalez hitting the 3-run homer. But he appears, with the lead, to be in a nice groove right now. Finding the inside corner with his fastball a little more frequently.
Dobbs jumps on that pitch. Constanza right in his tracks. Makes the catch. Lowe holding the lead. 7-2 Braves. The Goodyear blimp high above Sun Life Stadium. 7-2, Braves on top. Atlanta still looking up towards Philadelphia, 8.5 behind the Phillies. Phillies at 74-40. Atlanta the second best record in the National League, and the wild card leaders brought to you by Chevy.
Philadelphia with a matchup at Dodger Stadium tonight. Roy Halladay against Hiroki Kuroda. There are the numbers on Brian Sanchez, who has been solid, and he's been used in many roles this year. And right now his role is to come on and savor the middle part of this game.
Of course, the San Francisco Giants will be here for a weekend series, and the Giants are at home against Pittsburgh tonight. Michael Bourne leads it off in the 6th. Charlie Morton against Ryan Vogelsong.
Ryan Vogelsong is 9-1.
Bourne lines it into left center field. That's picked up by Mike Cameron. And Bourne certainly is a threat to run with Sanchez on the mound.
And Rich, not good numbers for Brad Hand. 114 pitches in 5 innings. He gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts.
Here is Martin Prado. Arizona will be playing Houston. They open up a series tonight in Arizona. And so both the teams involved in that National League West race are facing teams in the Central that are struggling. The Pirates have lost 10 in a row. Houston has lost 3 straight. And the Astros are 40 games under 500. Bourne is running and then stops. And Buck chases him back with a throw.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder, and only a base stealer can tell you, did he bluff, or did he not feel he got a real good jump? Did he slip a little bit? Either way, he was able to get back. The acting skipper, Carlos Tosca, sitting next to Uggs.
Prado takes a strike. Milwaukee enters play with a 3-game lead over the dearly departed Cardinals, who made a mess of the Marlins this past weekend.
Looks like the Brewers and the Cardinals both idle tonight.
Well, they're getting ready for that series in St. Louis tomorrow night. 1-1. There goes Bourne. He's not bluffing here. Buck's throw is in towards the runner, and it skips away. Mezga tried to get a glove on it, and it bounced right by him.
42nd stolen base for Michael Bourne. Quick pop-up slide. He gets over to third once he saw that ball trickle into center field. So an error charge to Buck. Good lead. Reyes on the DL. Looks like that lead's safe right now.
Bourne has won the last 2 stolen base crowns in the National League. With the infield in, Bonifacio makes a nice stop, high throw, and Gabby is able to grab it. Keeps Bourne at third. So there's 1 out. Bourne in 2009 stole 61 bases and 52 stolen bases. Was good enough to lead the National League last year. That I mean, you go back into the 70s and early 80s, that wouldn't get you in the top 2 or 3 with the
would get you in the Vince Coleman conversation
or the Ricky Henderson conversation in the American League. That in the early 80s and the mid 80s. What was Ricky's record? 134?
134. You think of a guy like it just popped into my head because we're talking stolen bases. We've talked about Constanza and his 9 years in the minor leagues. Maury Wills spent at least that long a time in the minor leagues before he finally got a shot with the Dodgers and set all kinds of stolen base records.
Why did Maury Wills spend so much time? Was the Dodger system that deep?
Dodger system was that deep.
And you would know because you were a guy that won 2 batting titles in AAA in the Pacific Coast League, and yet you had a hard time getting promoted to the big club as well.
A lot of talent. Bill Buckner's, Steve Garvey.
By the way, the record for Ricky Henderson in 1982 was 130. He was caught that year 42 times. Marlins going to end up walking Freeman. The intentional walk has not worked out that well for the Marlins. At least it didn't in the Cardinals series. It seems like every time they walked a Pujols, Holiday would get him.
Jack holding up 2 fingers, wants the infield to play back for 2. And Maury Wills with 104 stolen bases back in '62, at 94 in 1965.
Here is Ugla now with runners at the corners. And Ugla cranks one to left field. Peterson there makes the catch. tagging is born, he'll score easily. So Ugla, who's extended his hit streak already to 29 games, also delivers RBI number 56.
Just to get my point and finalize things, Maury Wills did spend 9 years. We talked about Constanza with over 3,000 at-bats in the minor leagues. Maury Wills had over 4,000, over 4,200 at-bats in the minor leagues before he got to the Dodgers.
How many, once he got to the big leagues, how many at-bats did Wills get after that 4,000 minor league at-bats?
He ended up with 2,100 hits.
Wow.
At the major league level, over 7,500 at-bats in the big leagues. It's a long career, long professional career for Maury Wills.
It's an 8-2 game. The Braves are on top here in the top of the 6th inning. To Chipper Jones. From the blimp. Craig is not in the blimp, though we've often tried to get that done. Usually when we schedule Craig in the blimp, there's inclement weather.
Well, and we don't have a cord that goes that long for Craig's mic.
April 4th, 2012. Expect to see a blimp over downtown Miami on the night where the Marlins christen their new ballpark. Roof open or closed? Probably open. If it's not.
I would think so. Usually April we have some nice weather in South Florida.
But you know what they might do? Just for fun, like about 6 o'clock after batting practice, just close it once and open it just so the fans could see it. Just for fun.
We'll have to ask. This is one of those questions we need to write down on evenings when it's closed. Then when the game is finished, do you open it?
Yes.
For rain, water. That's a great opportunity. I think the first time I saw that was in Toronto, and they used to play the space age music after the game ended, and then they'd open it. People would stand there and watch the Sky Dome at that time open.
Same thing in Seattle.
Yeah.
When they first opened Safeco Field. The dramatic music with the roof opening. That one is lined into center field. Chipper Jones hitting that one hard against Brian Sanchez. The one thing about the roof in the new Marlins ballpark, much like Arizona, much like Seattle and Milwaukee, is it doesn't matter what the weather is like. After the game, the roof's coming open because you have to have sunlight. You have to have rain.
You have to help that grass.
You got to have the grass grow. So
you're not going to have scenes like in here or down here. You're not going to have soccer matches. You're not going to have football scrimmages screwing it up.
Gonzalez jammed on that fastball. And it's 0-1. And that's one of the challenges for a retractable roof, natural surface field, is finding the right mix of grass and getting enough sunlight on it. To make sure that the grass grows. I don't think that'll be a problem here in South Florida.
Yeah, I think it was more of a problem in the desert in Arizona.
Chipper Jones and Freddie Freeman aboard. The Braves have added to their lead. It's 8-2 here in the 6th. And Gonzalez went around. And he is out. Sanchez strikes him out. Inning over, 8-2. Atlanta.
Y es presentado por KFC.
Well, Cookie, Raul.
Yeah, we're over here, Cookie, over here.
This way, Cookie.
Oh, Cookie can't see us.
I don't think he can hear us either.
He can't hear us either. Things have gotten that bad, Rich, that we can't even converse with Cookie and Raul. One of the highlights, would have been the highlight so far of this game.
Well, Mike Stanton is up. Gabby Sanchez, Mike Cameron to follow, and Derek Lowe misses inside.
All of a sudden, Derek Lowe has retired 8 straight.
We give a veteran pitcher a lead. Stanton off of Uggla's glove. Stanton around first, and he's headed for second, and Mike's going to get there. So a hustle double by Stanton.
That is really nice base running in a game that you're down by 6 runs. You could just think station to station. His hard shot, well, his hard top spin ground balls kicks off Uggla. And then Mike picks it up right away, and because it just goes into shallow left center, and because Bourne was playing so deep, he hustles himself into second base. That's good to see.
Gabby Sanchez, and he takes a strike. Derek Lowe is not known for getting deep in ball games. In fact, he has not gone 7 innings since mid-May.
And in the past, that hasn't been the case with Derek Lowe. He's a guy. He's had 9 straight years of 30 or more starts. He's had 9 straight years of 12 or more wins coming in this year.
But as his career has grown longer, and obviously he's up there in age at 38, the Braves have had to be very careful with him, because when he runs out of gas, it's not like he slows down to a little sputtering stop. He can all of a sudden hit the wall right away. And he's not thrown a complete game in the big leagues since 2008.
Wow. You know, we talked about his versatility, his time as a closer at 42 saves in 2000, along with Dennis Eckersley and John Smoltz, the only guys who have had a 20-win season and a 40-save season.
That one fouled back to the screen, and it's 1-2. Stanton and Uggla having a conversation out there at second base. Gabby pulls it foul, which I guess prompts a question. Are there any starters out there that you think could make the conversion and become closers? Because now it's so specialized. Guys are brought up as closers, guys are brought up as starters, and rarely do they mix.
I think my answer to that would be a starter is too valuable. If you have a guy who's giving you innings and starts, he's too valuable to put in a role that I think you can find a closer.
So it would have to be a starter that's not that effective.
Yeah.
Not a guy that's a 15 to...
But then if he wasn't that effective, why would you want him to close?
Because maybe he'd be better there. Gabby lines it to center. Bourne is a Gold Glover twice over.
And a Gold Glover in a spacious center field in Houston, in Minute Maid.
Yeah, the scouts, we talked to a couple of scouts in particular in Atlanta about Bourne defensively, and they said, you know, he's a great center fielder in Houston. Wait till you see him in Atlanta, where there's half the acreage.
Yeah, and he's not going to have to worry about Towles Hill.
Cameron now bounces it to Chipper, flips it to first in time. So after the Stanton double, the Marlins have a couple of outs, and now it's up to Brian Peterson if the Fish are going to get anything out of this inning in an 8-2 game in the bottom of the sixth.
I think the interesting thing about Lowe is that the 3 years that he closed, 99, 2000, and 2001, then it was 2002 that he won 21 games. So after not being stretched out, closing games, hit 24 saves in 01. Then it was the next year he won 21.
He had a great postseason as well for Boston in 04. And then went on to Los Angeles, signed an enormous contract there, pitched 4 years with the Dodgers. This is his third year with the Braves. Peterson's bounced to short, he's bounced to second. Cishek in the bullpen. You probably don't see too many Derek Lowe type guys coming up in the minor leagues if you're Brian Peterson. Guys that survive and advance on sinkers, location.
Yeah, and especially in Double-A. Maybe years ago in Triple-A you'd see some guys like that, but you're right. You're going to see the hard throwers and not the finesse guys.
Peterson pops it up. Chipper should handle this, and he does. And Derek Lowe is through 6 innings in this one to the 7th, 8-2 Atlanta. Tonight, aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Sun Life Stadium, the Braves are here for 3. The Giants are coming in this weekend. And the Marlins trying to figure out how to win games here. And it has been a major struggle for the Fish. David Ross climbs in to start the top of the 7th. Brian Sanchez delivers a fastball for a strike. The Marlins in this ballpark this year are 12 games under 500, 24-36. Ball's popped up. Gabby and Buck. And it's out of reach.
I was looking at some of the other teams around baseball. The White Sox still kind of in things in the Central. They're 5.5 games out. They're 24-32 at home. They're 8 games under 500 at home. And they're 5 games over on the road. So they've kind of played that same game.
You know, the Mets are 7 under at home. They're 23-30. It's a swing, and it's a strikeout for Sanchez.
I think initially Hunter Wendelstedt said no. And then he asked for help, got help, and a strike was called. Let's see. Probably.
There's no probably in baseball. How would you like it if he appealed down to first base and
is that probably?
Did he swing? Brian Knight said, probably.
Probably. You wouldn't like it if you were the hitter.
No, you wouldn't. Was it Dizzy Dean, once he became a broadcaster, that in his scorebook would put WW?
That was
who was that? Which broadcaster used to do that?
Phil Rizzuto.
Phil Rizzuto
did that.
And you know,
Bill White, his partner, looked over at his scorebook one day and said, "What's WW?"
Yeah, because you put you know, a K for a strikeout, sometimes a BB for a walk,
or maybe a W for a walk.
A W.
WW. And he looked at Bill White and he said, "Wasn't watching."
Probably. Costanza has 2 more hits tonight and stands in hitting .432.
Somebody has to tell Jose Costanza the Maury Wills story. All those years in the minor leagues.
And tell him how long Maury played in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Ground ball to short, Bonifacio to first. He got down the line pretty quickly. 2 outs, here's the poll question, 789-789. It looks like the Noes are closing the gap a little bit. Major League Baseball considering the addition of 2 more wild card teams. Do you like the idea? Brooks Conrad.
I'm actually a little surprised that it's as close. The poll answers.
See, I like the idea of 2 15-team leagues. I know that would mean interleague play from the start to the end, but that might actually make more scheduling sense in terms of interleague play. Because now, as it is, it's a patchwork many times of who you play and when you play it. At least, say if you played the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, you could go out to Los Angeles and play the Dodgers for 3.
Maybe the Padres.
And the Padres and the Angels for 3.
Yeah. When have they ever thought of scheduling sense, though? Good split.
Brooks Conrad strikes out, and I think I heard him apologize after he did. You can celebrate Billy's birthday bash at the ballpark, and kids get a Marlins back to school lunch cooler courtesy of Geico, and can run the bases after the game. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. Downtown Miami, after a day of rain, it's kind of cleared up around the area. The Goodyear blimp providing coverage. The Atlanta Braves providing a lot of run support for Derek Lowe. And Lowe's night is over, so he goes 6 innings. And a former Marlin is on the mound to face John Buck. Christian Martinez.
Well, what a lifesaver Martinez has been, especially in that 19-inning game they had. He's done a nice job out of the bullpen for him. Through 6 shutout innings at that 19-inning game against the Pirates. Good fastball and changeup.
He's a unique guy, and a guy that was a lot more common in baseball 10, 15 years ago. A long man, a bona fide long man, a guy that you can stretch out for 6 innings in a game like that Pittsburgh game. Or if you needed to come in, get a right-hander out, or just pitch for an inning, you could probably do that as well. We've talked about that with the Phillies, in that they really haven't had a need for too many of those guys because their starters have gone so deep in every game.
Now, I'll be curious to see how the Braves handle this situation. The 6-run lead in their win yesterday in New York. They finished things out as they've done so often with O'Flaherty, Venters, and Kimbrel. So this could be a night, if the lead holds up, they could keep Christian Martinez in there for the final 3 innings.
Or throw a Scott Linebrink or Scott Proctor or George Sherrill out there. Wes Helms. About the only highlight of the night for Brad Hand was his first major league hit.
Kind of bittersweet to get the baseball of that hit, but not pitch well.
Helms hits a slider in the center. Bourne makes the catch.
And right now, the Marlins just not having good at bats at all, and making it easy on the Braves.
Here comes Bonifacio. Of course, the Braves, impressively have kept their wild card lead without Brian McCann. McCann's been on the disabled list, and probably isn't going to be back within the 15-day time period in terms of his DL run. You're probably going to take a little more time before that oblique is ready to go.
Yeah, and as long as they continue to play the way they have, they can take their time.
Yeah.
No sense of urgency.
Though I do think, and we've touched upon this, when they get to September, the end of September, headed towards October, the one guy I think they've got to have healthy and in their lineup is Chipper Jones.
And I guarantee he's going to be a guy that they'll keep their eye on and just try to round him into that good shape so he is ready and healthy for postseason.
Because that really sets their lineup. Then Prado can play left. They can put Hayward or Constanza in right field. Bourne obviously in center. And if Ugla is hitting, there's that right-handed pop with Ugla and Chipper being able to do that against the lefties. Martinez beats Bonifacio over to the bag, and the Marlins are down quickly in the bottom of the 7th. To the 8th. It's been all Braves so far in this one. Carlos Tosca running the team. Freddie Gonzalez ejected early in this one. 8-2, our Toyota trend. When leading after 7 innings, 48-3. That's 4th in the National League. And as Tommy has pointed out, that's that trio: O'Flaherty, Venters, and Kimbrel.
And the best record in the league leading after 7 innings, the Phillies. 56-2.
Well, the Braves, if the Braves were to win the wild card, if you stop the merry-go-round right now and everybody went to the postseason with the records that they have, obviously as the wild card you can't play the team in your division. The Phillies have the best record in baseball. Michael Bourne is up there right now. So the Braves would end up with the team that wins either the Central or the West that has the better of the record, and that would be Milwaukee right now. So Atlanta would face Milwaukee. A little nostalgia there if you wanted to go back into the 50s.
So Philadelphia and San Francisco would hook up again.
Yep, that's where I was going. That was quite a series this weekend.
Yeah, the Giants, thanks to Tim Lincecum in 7 2/3 terrific innings, salvaged the last game of that series, 3-1.
See, as confident as the Phillies have to be coming out of that series, that hey, they went into San Francisco and won the 3 games. Lincecum's still the guy they can't beat, because Lincecum beat Halliday twice last year, and he beat Cliff Lee twice last year when Lee was a Ranger.
Now, on the flip side of that, the Philly fan would tell you, but Halliday didn't even pitch in that series. And they won 3 out of 4.
And they would point out that Lincecum can't pitch. But, maybe 3 times in a 7-game series if everything fell right from a rotation standpoint.
But it does set up a terrific series.
Yeah, well, that would be a short series.
Yeah.
If that's the opening series,
that'd be a 5-game.
It'd be a 5-gamer, so you'd only see Lincecum twice, and if you're the Giants, you would see probably Halliday twice. Michael Bourne and Hunter Pence have to be thinking to themselves, here they were teammates playing side by side, and now they're in the same division, and it looks like they're both on track to get to the postseason.
Yeah, and as teammates playing side by side, there were 25, 30 games under 500.
40 games.
40 games now. And what a reversal. And I guarantee they're ecstatic about where they are. And I know you and I both feel the same way about Hunter Pence, the type of player he is.
Pence is one of those guys, maybe not to the extent of Adrian Gonzalez was at San Diego, but Pence was one of those guys where you watched him play and you say to yourself, you put him on a really good team and he'll get it's not that he will get better, but people will notice him more. Because he was a very good, he was an all-star a couple times in Houston.
I guarantee they've noticed him in Philadelphia already.
And all of a sudden he's in Philadelphia and everyone's like, oh, Hunter Pence. But he's been that good for a while.
Yeah, and I think the more you think about it, and Frank Wren said this when we were in Atlanta and they got Bourne. Bourne is actually a better fit for the Braves to play center, to lead off. I mean, they have a right field. They have a couple of right fielders. And I don't think they would have played Pence in center.
Or what would they have done if they had gotten Beltran?
Well, they would have had to play him in right because he's not a center fielder anymore.
So would you put Jason Hayward in center?
I don't know. So in essence, the bottom line is Bourne is a better fit.
Freddie Freeman fouls it off. Steve Cishek taking over. Brad Hand, 5 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs. Brian Sanchez, a couple of innings, a run on 2 hits in an 8-2 Atlanta ball game. And for the Marlins, we talked about it coming in. This was a homestand where they knew they'd be up against teams with a lot on the line. The Cardinals trying to chase down the Brewers, the Braves in the wild card lead, the Giants trying to keep the Arizona Diamondbacks behind them. And the Marlins, such a streaky team, swept by the Cardinals, but they'd won 8 of 10 going into the St. Louis series. Before that 8 of 10, remember the Marlins got swept by the Padres. And going into that series, the Marlins had won 9 of 10. So it's like the Marlins will go on this great run and then come home and fall flat on their face. And then go back on the road and play great and then come home and it all falls apart again. That's kind of been...
I guess the good news, if you look at the schedule, I'm trying to find some good news, is that after the road trip to Colorado and San Diego, the Marlins are only home 3 days. Then they're back out on the road to Philly and New York and Washington. No, Philly and New York.
Freeman.
So there is good news. A ray of hope.
Not if you're Freddie Freeman. He's not real happy. ejected. Freddie Gonzalez early in the game, and Freddie Freeman after this. Is that a swing, Tommy?
Probably. Yeah, it's another tweener, and I think it's a call. Over the years we've seen called a strike much more than it was years ago.
Well, Freeman was upset about it. He must have said something.
Because, again, whatever happened to just the fine if you flipped your helmet away and threw your bat? He might have said something, but...
I mean, if he's tossed for just throwing his helmet, then...
we saw Bonifacio tossed for about the same, even less than that.
If that's the case, you would have been ejected from a number of telecasts up here in between innings when you toss your headset after a break.
Yeah. Thankfully, you don't have that move. It's a toss me. Well, this way it gives Freddie Gonzalez a little company for a couple of innings. Eric Hinske comes in to play first base.
Here comes Greg Dobbs. Dobbs 1 for 3. That is Freddie Freeman's first career ejection. Christian Martinez into his second inning in relief. Dobbs hit it on the nose his last time up. He lined out. He's 1 for 3. And it's 2-0.
We talked a while, and with their 10-game losing streak, they've gone in the other direction about Pittsburgh. But another really, I think, feel-good story and good one around baseball is Arizona.
And there's Dobbs going to right field and deep, and Greg Dobbs has hit his 5th home run of the season. He's had good swings all night.
Yeah, base hit in the first. He lined out in the 5th inning, lined out to right field, hit that ball hard, and hit a no-doubter right there against Martinez.
Dobbs has just had a splendid year for the Marlins in whatever they've asked him to do.
That's a hanging changeup. That's what you do to a hanging changeup. We saw what Alex Gonzalez did to a hanging changeup. And that's just a picture-perfect swing.
Mike Stanton takes outside. Stanton has walked twice, and he had an odd double in the 6th. A sharp grounder up the middle. A diving Dan Uggla deflected it into left center, and Stanton never stopped and hustled into second. There's a lot of rain in the Midwest. Some games have been delayed. They've restarted in Cincinnati. Colorado 5-4 over the Reds in the bottom of the 3rd. Reds are here on the next homestand, and a possibility that Dontrell Willis makes a start. The Padres put 4 on the board in the 8th and lead the Mets 8-6. That is bottom of the 8th. Houston and Arizona have just begun. High pop-up. Hinske fresh in the game. In a game like this, you search for a checkers double of the game, and when you don't have one, Tommy, you got to come up with, can improvise.
You know, it was a double play. It certainly hurt chances in that first inning, and you never know what can go on from there in a ball game. So it's our checkers double play of the game.
Gabby pops a pitch up. And Hinske.
There's a term that's used. It's hard to describe, but it appears that Gabby's feeling for the ball. That's a term that you hear hitters use. Just don't have that. Just don't have that good comfort feel at the plate. I guarantee you right now, he doesn't feel comfortable at the plate. And that's a crazy thing about this game. It can go in and out, and the really, really good ones, it doesn't go out for long. And the adjustment part of the game, Gabby does a good job at that. We've seen him make good adjustments.
He may be the most consistent hitter that the Marlins have. One and two to Gabby. He did hit it on the nose his last time up. He lined to center, and he swings and misses and strikes out. Christian Martinez has punched the clock with 2 innings. Gave up a Greg Dobbs homer. It's an 8-3 game.
Three as we go to the 9th inning of play. This is only the 3rd time in the Marlins history that they have had a better road record than home record. So I asked our friends at Stats, take a look if there's any historical reference to where this season goes. I was a bit surprised to see that the Marlins are ranking right now, and keep in mind 94 was a strike-shortened season, as the 3rd worst differential ever between the home record and the road record. The Marlins here at home, as that ball is knocked out to left, and Ugla makes out, but he already took care of the hit streak earlier in the game. The Marlins 24 and 36 at home. That's a 12 under, and on their way to 13 under, barring a miraculous comeback. But here on the road this year, 8 games over. So that's where you get that winning percentage difference. And you can see only the Pirates in a full season have had a worse record in terms of the differential. Even that Pirate Club is well over the 500 mark at home that year. They won 97 ball games. It is very perplexing. You can ask everybody, is it the situation of the atmosphere here? Is it just they're busier at home? You got errands, you got family, or is it just one of those things? And you really can't get a straight answer. It's really hard to pinpoint. Usually, if you're even 500 on the road, you got a plus 500 record overall. And for that matter, and you're 8 over on the road, guys, you're usually right in the playoff mix.
And that's really the frustrating thing, too, Craig and Tommy, is the fact that the ball club has played so well on the road that they set themselves up to, if they could just be 500 at home, be in a great spot.
Yeah, usually you look at the other way. You play well at home if you can play 500 on the road. And the Marlins could look at it the other way. But that hasn't been the case. I think sometimes, there's no energy here. It's tough, but that's happened before in the past. And the Marlins haven't been that poor at home. It is one of those things that at times is cyclical, and it goes from year to year. And sometimes you play well in the daytime, not at night. Just kind of take it as it is.
Speaking of taking it as it is, Alex Gonzalez with one of the bigger swings in this ball game. There's a bouncer to Dobbs at third, and he throws him out. Gonzo hit that 3-run homer in the 5th against Brad Hand. That stretched the lead, and the Braves have kept it. Marlins baseball is brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze. See your local South Florida Chevrolet dealer today. Tonight, our aerial coverage is provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. This has not been an inspiring night for the Florida Marlins. 8-3. And a guy that was a Marlin sort of, I guess, for a year, an injured year, Scott Proctor comes on. Proctor has found a home in the Atlanta bullpen. Misses outside, and it's 1-0. Proctor facing Mike Cameron. Marlins down to their final 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. In a game in which the Braves have come in. Jumped Brad Hand early. Derek Lowe got the lead, kept the lead. And the Braves bullpen has done the rest. And the Marlins' woes at home continue. In fact, Atlanta came in here when the Marlins were in the throes of one of the worst Junes in baseball history and swept them in this ballpark. So the Braves can go 4-0 in this park.
Well, the Marlins will see the right-hander Brandon Beachy tomorrow night, Clay Hensley and Beachy tomorrow night, Anibal Sanchez and Tim Hudson Wednesday night.
Hensley is seemingly been on a endless loop of facing the same teams for the last couple of weeks. He faced the Mets 3 times, and he gets to face the Braves again. Proctor misses up. Brad Hand still watching. Hand got his first big league hit, but got knocked around. He gave up the 3-run homer to Alex Gonzalez in the 5th. Braves got 4 runs in the 2nd. And in the 2nd, it was a 1-out walk that opened the door. A belt-high changeup is what did the trick against Alex Gonzalez.
I'm just looking, Rich, and I know you've talked about it. You worked there a little bit in Las Vegas, how the ball jumps, great park to hit in. New Orleans last night beat Las Vegas 17-9 at 22 hits. Jose Lopez, Chris Aguila, and Matt Dominguez all had 4-hit games for the New Orleans club.
That's Cashman Field It's been there a long time by the convention center at the north end of the strip. Cameron walks. Las Vegas was not in the Coast League when you were playing, though, right?
They were not. But there were some ballparks. There were great hitting ballparks in that league at that time, and then there were some tough hitting ballparks. Spokane wasn't a great hitting ballpark, but Phoenix was. Eugene was.
Well, Las Vegas was a great home field advantage because visiting teams would come in, and when I was in the Coast League, you would play usually a 4-game series.
That 4 nights in Vegas is tough.
By the second or third night, the visiting team is absolutely worn out.
Well,
none of them have slept.
When you don't put clocks in casinos, it's tough to figure out when curfew is.
It's one of the great minor league franchises. Don Logan, the general manager, still there. Bob Bloom, a broadcasting legend, is still there. Two and one.
This is not what the Braves wanted for Scott Proctor to come in and walk the first man he faces. He's about the only guy who has really struggled out of their bullpen.
Peterson fouls a pitch back. Tommy, one of the great traditions in Las Vegas. I know you would have appreciated this as a player or even as a broadcaster. Showgirls throwing out the first pitch. I mean, what can be better than that? Proctor misses in with a fastball. It's 3-2. John Buck is on deck. Marlins down 8-3, bottom of the ninth. And Peterson fouls it out of play. Las Vegas actually, for a few years, have been rumored to be a possible relocation spot for the Oakland Athletics. In fact, the A's played some games, some regular season games in Las Vegas. Strike 3 call. Peterson had tossed the bat. And rather than turn and draw the wrath of Hunter Wendelstedt, he heads to the dugout.
I think it's a strike. Borderline, but Scott Proctor makes his home up in Jensen Beach. Played at FSU.
Now Buck, who's 0 for 3. John has struck out twice. Brett Hayes has emerged on deck with 1 out in the ninth. 8-3. The hope for the Marlins is that Logan Morrison's leg, the swelling goes down, which will alleviate some of the tightness around the stitches. The fear is that when running or sliding
would be the biggest fear.
He would pop open those stitches. And if it's swollen and tight, there's a greater chance for that. If the swelling goes down, they're in a better position to not only, with it stitched up, also maybe add a little extra adhesive
or
some
kind of padding,
some tape to it, so that he doesn't rip it. And talking to Lomo, he said the problem is that's his sliding leg. Players, there are some players that have only certain legs that they do slide on. John Buck drives that to right, hits it deep, and hits it out. A 2-run shot by Buck, his 12th of the season.
A little bit of good news. It's nice to see the long ball show up in the Marlins offense.
Yeah, Brian Peterson's pinch hit home run yesterday was the only long ball the Marlins hit in the 4-game series against the Cardinals. It's our Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game.
And we have seen John Buck this year drive numerous home runs to right field.
So it's 8-5 now, and you talked about it in that the Braves were in a position where they didn't have to get Venters up, didn't have to get Kimbrel up, and it would be nice to get him a night off if you're Atlanta. However, with 1 out and it's a 3-run game.
Yep, doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Kimbrel is heating up. So Proctor now faces Hayes. You saw in the dugout Logan Morrison with a bat. Morrison has told Jack McKeon that he can hit. You know, as long as he doesn't have to do a hook slide along the way, he's good to swing the bat if necessary. He may have to, you know, pull a Kirk Gibson and hobble to first base.
Or just hit 1 out.
One and one. You have Bonifacio and then a Meziga. Proctor misses up. 2-1. Hayes a little early on that one, but he yanks that one foul. Brett Hayes, as usual, gets the start yesterday and has a double. He's got 7 doubles on the season to go with 3 homers, 13 RBIs. It's been a big year for Hayes to show that he can be a very capable backup catcher in the big leagues. That's a valuable position. All he has to do when he digs into the plate is just turn and look at David Ross, who
and see the kind of career he's had.
At 34 has made a nice living at that. Takes low and it's 3-2.
Or he could call a couple of former Marlins catchers. He could call Matt Trainer, or he could call
Mike Redmond.
And say, how about that career?
(3-2) coming.
Red probably up in Spokane somewhere.
That's right.
Enjoying retirement.
Did you see Matt Trainer get flattened last week?
Yes.
And briefly knocked unconscious. But in true Matt Trainer form, he got up and wobbled off the field. Hayes draws a walk. And here comes Carlos Tosca, and he's seen enough. He's going to the bullpen. He's going to bring the heat. So Scott Proctor couldn't keep Craig Kimbrel in the bullpen. Here's a Marooney call to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
ball club come back to make it an 8-5 ball game. The Marlins will see Craig Kimbrell come into the game. The tying run is actually on deck. And so this qualifies as a save situation for Kimbrell.
Boy, look at that, 87 strikeouts in his 56 innings. Right now, Kimbrell tied with Brian Wilson of the Giants with 34 saves for the league lead, trying to make it 35 here, and the Marlins just trying to keep it going, keep the line moving.
So it's Bonifacio, who is 2 for 4. Hayes is at first, and Kimbrell bends one in there for a strike. And Kimbrell has just been unhittable of late. Notched his 34th save yesterday. His last 24 appearances, 24 innings, scoreless.
Yeah, just nasty breaking balls, 2 of them to Bonifacio, not to mention the kind of fastball that he has.
There's
right,
the fastball
there
at 97.
So I'm sure the fact that he did pitch yesterday, we talked about that, he gave up a hit, had a walk, but picked up the save. I'm sure the plan was to, if possible, give him the night off. So that plan didn't work out.
So you see the strikeouts. Kimbrell is a rookie, the 0-2. We were talking about Rookie of the Year candidates. Freeman offensively would be probably the top rookie in the National League. But then you got to look at Kimbrell at the back of Atlanta's bullpen and Vance Worley in the rotation for the Philadelphia Phillies. Am I missing anybody?
I think those are the top guys. Worley 8-1 now with a 2.35 ERA.
Pitches outside, it's 1-2.
See if this breaking ball.
That's close.
It's close.
That's right on the corner.
Wasn't where Kimbrell wanted it, though.
Swing and a miss, and it gets away. Hayes is going to get down to second. First base was occupied at the time of the pitch with less than 2 outs. That means Bonifacio can't try to get to first. And here comes Amezaga now. You see Morrison putting a helmet on. If Bonifacio had reached base, do you think Jack would have hit Morrison for Amezaga?
I think all of a sudden, if Morrison would have represented the tying run with a little better chance to hit a long ball, I think we would have seen him. Yeah.
Amezaga takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Fredo's base hit was in the third. He now has 4 hits. He's 4 for 12 with the Marlins. Kimbrell has that great pre-pitch stance.
Yeah, what? How can we call that? It has.
Well, our producer John Sulzer is a big fan of the superheroes, and I think the Silver Surfer. Here's the 0-2. Got him. Amezaga strikes out. Kimbrell has to come in and shut the door and save it for the Braves. 8-5 is the final. In 2 hours and 59 minutes. Alex Gonzalez with a big 3-run homer. Dan Uggla's hit streak is now 29 games. And Atlanta, 8 runs, 11 hits. The Fish, 5 runs, 8 hits. And the Marlins have now lost 5 in a row. The ups and downs of this ball club continue. Atlanta improves to 67-49. Marlins Live coming up.